I'm Danny Hicks. Welcome to the Not So Secret Agent podcast, where we learn from top real estate agents how they maintain a thriving business, all while living the good life. Daniel Parrish, welcome to the Not So Secret Agent podcast. You traveled down from my hometown of Virginia Beach. Super excited to have you in studio.
Yeah, thank you so much. It's been a pleasure. It was not too bad of a ride. Traffic wasn't bad, and it's Christmas time, so it's been really fun. Thank you for inviting me.
Got a little Mortal Kombat in. That's not a bad thing.
That was sweet. The studio, I'm very rarely on podcasts. This is actually my first debut on a podcast.
What?
So I'm pretty psyched. I was texting my wife on the way here, and I was like, man, what am I going to say? But thank you for having me. I'm excited.
Absolutely. You're being very modest. You have a lot to say that people are really going to appreciate. So let's go ahead and get started. Tell me a little bit about how you got into real estate.
So my mother is in real estate, and I always watched her doing real estate, and she was a single mom. So when she would make ends meet, and I was like, man, how you're doing this? You manage me and my brother Joseph. And I come to find out my grandfather was a developer and a builder. And she came from a long family of farmers and stuff. And so my grandfather kind of taught her, and what ended up happening is we got into the real estate business in Kempsville Road in Chesapeake, Virginia. And it was cool, to hear the stories about when she'd ride on his lap and through the farms and stuff, and they were building houses. And this was back probably in the 60s. And he passed away in 1986, and I was born in 1989. So I never met him, and I didn't know any of the history of it. And so flash forward, I was working another job, and then I went on this trip, and then I came back, and I was like, I need to get into real estate, and that's how I got in.
So what was the other job?
I worked as a Rip Curl sub rep.
Okay.
So I was traveling up and down the East Coast selling Rip Curl surf equipment to surf shops, and it was fun. It was a wonderful time of my life, and we had a lot of fun. Got to travel a little bit, and the passion that I loved is to surf, so that was really kind of exciting,
Right, but still to go from that, because anybody who didn't grow up in Virginia Beach doesn't know, but that was everybody's dream job, right? We're going to work at the WRV, and then it's going to turn into a rep, and I never grow up.
Yeah,
right?
That's right. And that was just the guy lived down the street from me, and he kept running by me. The rep did. His name is Brad Harrell, and I went, man, I want to do what he does. Just like every kid, you know? Every kid was like, man, I want to be a surf rep. That would be amazing. And so I simply walked over to his house, and I said, hey, Brad, I don't know what I can do to help you, but can I help you? And I walked in his garage. He goes, kid, get out of here. I don't have anything for you to do. I can't pay you.
Right.
And so then I went home, and I was all bummed out. And then I was like, nah, I'm going back over there. So I waited a week, went back over there, and I was like, hey, man, can I help you? And he was like, no, kid, get out of here, And then I came back one more time, and he goes, fine, just go do some sample sales for me. So I started selling the samples that they bought.
Right.
And that completely pushed me into the surf rep business, which is cool. It was just the persistence. I was like, I definitely want to be this guy,
But that goes into what we do now. Persistence. I know I want to do it. Know your worth. You hear that a lot.
Yeah.
Well, as a surf rep, you were worth nothing. You didn't know how to do that yet.
No.
So you were like, yeah, no, I'll do that for free. What do you need me to do? Cool. I'll start below bottom.
Yeah. Right. And it was a cool experience. From that, I started I would go out, and I'd go to the schools and bring all the samples in, sell all these clothes. I'd come back with all the money. And one day I came back, and I had $6,000 in samples in one day, 4 hours worth of work. And he goes, how in the world did you do that? And I went, I don't know, just people were buying, and I wasn't going to stop them. I would just be like, hey, if you buy 2 more, I'll give you a discount. So they were racking up like $200-$300. And so he starts shuffling the money like, he's got counting it all. He's like, here's 10%. And I was like, 10%, dude? I was like 20 years old, So I was like, man, that's pretty good for one day. I'll do this every weekend, dude.
You were like in for something I wanted to do anyway. Yeah, that's
exactly.
Awesome.
So that was cool.
And little did you know that 3% would be plenty later as a filter.
I don't know about that now, but yeah.
Yeah, exactly. You know what I mean? So what's your why? So like when you started, you said, all right, I just want to be in real estate. So what was your why then? Like why did you want to be in real estate?
I couldn't say that I like willingly went into real estate. I looked at real estate as a vehicle. Like my mom was making a lot of money and she was putting a lot of hours in and she was always on the phone, but she was home,
Right.
She was home. She wasn't gone all the time. And, she'd be gone for a couple hours and come back, and make a sale. But so I just looked at that and I said, man, what ended up happening is I worked for Rip Curl for a number of years as a surf rep. And I went to the marketing manager for the total United States. And his name was Dylan at the time. He was the president of Rip Curl. And I said, Dylan, like Billabong's doing this big marketing campaign where they have a marketing guy go up and down the East Coast and, get all the surf companies and all the surf shops dialed in, and we have events, and that would be my job. So I proposed it to him. And he said, this is 2012, 13. And he goes, dude, we don't have money for that. And I looked at him. I was like, you're a $100 million company. You don't have $150,000 like to spend on marketing? And he goes, no. And I said, all right, fine, I'm leaving. I said, I quit. And I was in Florida at the time at one of the trade shows, and I finally got a chance to talk to him. So I said, fine, I quit. I'm going to Indo. So then I went to Indo for 3 months and surfed, and I came back and I said I had no money. I mean, I was like I just got out of college and I probably had like $10,000-$12,000 in credit card debt, And I was like, I got to make some bills. My mom, I came home, I got a job as my real estate license. I passed it. And I was living at my mom's house after college, right? For like maybe 2 months. And my mom said to me, she goes, Daniel, if you're going to live here, I need you to pay. And I was like, well, how much? She's like, $1,500. And I'm like, what? No way. I'm not paying you. I'm getting out of here. So I got a house at the beach, called a buddy of mine up, and just kind of forced my way out. And that was my real estate career. That's where it was born.
So sink or swim.
Yeah.
I got to pay bills. I got a lease. I don't want to live with my mom.
Yep.
So and then now fast forward, you've got a wife now. You're a grown up, and it's totally different. I mean, it's not survival. You're very far from survival at this point.
Yeah. Well, thank you.
You're so modest.
It's a journey, man. I mean,
of course it is.
You think like what anybody would do, like, and that's where I got into Buffini and Company, and that helped me tremendously. It was like I needed a guide, and my mom was, they call her the Tasmanian Devil. That's her nickname. That's what one of her brokers nicknamed her, and he would put a Tasmanian Devil on her because she had such a bad ADHD. Just go around, spin around, and like, well, what do you do? I'm like, Mom, well, what do you do how do you get clients? And so that's how I got in touch with Buffini and Company. I looked at their website, went to one of the Richmond shows, and then I was like, well, I'm just going to follow what this guy does.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. So was your mom doing Buffini or no? She was doing something totally. She was just being the Tasmanian Devil, and it was who she was, and it attracted me.
Yeah, I mean, she's full Italian.
Right.
So she doesn't meet a stranger,
Right.
And she's really good at real estate. She's still practicing real estate, and it was awesome, to learn from her, like to absorb things from her.
Right.
But teaching wise it wasn't like, hey, there's a structured schedule, Daniel. We do this, this, and this.
Well, how do you teach what's innate to you, right? Like, she could do it. She just could do it. So how do you teach that, right? Because that's tricky. So whereas Brian comes along and says, hey, look, these are our systems and this is our structure, and that's, you know, that it's just easier to follow. And if you do this, then you're going to be successful. And the funny part is when you first do it, and I get agents all the time, and they're trying to tell me what they're going to do and what they're not going to do. And I'm like, well, you don't know yet. Just do what he says. And I usually joke around. He has way more money than you do, or we do.
Yeah, yeah, for sure.
You should do what that guy just says. Like, don't make up your own system. Like, success leaves clues. Follow the clues.
That's right.
So, what's your team structure? Because you work with your mom, don't you?
No,
you started that.
So I started a team, and my mom is part of our team loosely, but she's kind of like. I wanted to include her in the team structure because she's always been mentoring me, you know?
Right.
And so I just took on Trent Taylor. He's from Hampton. He graduated from Hampton, Sydney with an economics degree. And he joined Berkshire Hathaway. And my cousin I raised in the real estate business. She's the admin at Berkshire Hathaway. So I said, Marissa, you need to go get a job. And if you want to get into real estate, I need you to become the admin there so we can teach you. And so she's been there a couple of years, and she introduced me to Trent and said, hey, go learn from Daniel. So Trent joined our team, and he's been really fun, you know.
Right.
He's 25 years old, so he's fired up. He's like, man, what do I do? What do I do? And so, you know, I'm loosely guiding him and helping him, and our team structure is how his compensation is a 70-30 split.
Okay.
So he gets 70, I get 30% of the transactions
of what he brings.
That's correct, yeah.
And then do you feed him any leads or no leads at all?
Yeah, I feed him leads. You know, and they're, you know, as leads come in, you know, we pick them. And he's predominantly a buyer's agent.
Sure. And that's how you start out. You got more time than you have experience.
I'm usually feeding him a lot more knowledge than I am giving him leads.
But there's nothing wrong with that. The whole idea where you're going to go on a team and they're just going to feed you leads. Well, I got to take most of your money to do that because I got to pay for
the leads,
right? If you're going to do that, and frankly, you're teaching him how to generate his own business,
exactly,
which is way more valuable.
Yeah, to survive in the real estate business, it's all based off of relationships, right?
Absolutely.
You know? And who do you know, and the quality of your relationships define the quality of your life.
Yes.
You know, and the more impactful and the more close and the more honest and deep your relationship is, the more fruits of your labor it'll come from. You know? So it's been cool having him because he's able to learn from me. And that's part of my real strengths profile is I have a team builder. I've always been that way. Like I always love to be around people and kind of recruit people and educate and try to give people a lot of things. So because it's fun, it's more fun, more enjoyable.
Oh, definitely.
And you're not just doing this grind like by yourself, you know?
Yeah, no, the team win is so much bigger than if you won on your own. You know what I mean? You could make bank, but if no one else celebrates it, you're the jerk that goes and says, hey, I just sold this really big expensive house. No one cares.
Yeah.
Like no one. Now your team does, and they know the struggles, and they know what really is there. And getting back to like, you just thought, you know, when you got in the business, you're like, yeah, my mom just does this and it's easy. And then you get in the business and you're like, okay.
It's not easy.
No, definitely not.
I've been in almost 13 years, I think, 12 years. And it's been a journey, man, for sure.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a lot of like trial and error, you know? And there's a principle that, you know, it's just the cause and effect principle,
right.
You know, success leaves tracks, like you were saying. And you want to follow someone in the snow, you follow their tracks. You follow where they go, their path first. And the nice thing about being related to like Buffini and Company and the agents and stuff is that there's all these successful people, like so many, and they're very humble and they're very open. And what we do as a company is we're able to share ideas and kind of bounce off each other what's working, what's not working.
Yeah.
And all of it's based off of action. It's like, you know, you have two cause and effects. You know, you try something and it doesn't work, you don't.
You still learned something, right?
Exactly.
And whatever you paid for that was tuition. That's all that was, right?
Yeah.
You paid a little tuition to learn something. And you learned, because here's the other thing. In real estate, everything works if you do it consistently, right?
100%.
Everything works. Now, are you going to enjoy doing it? Is it the best use of your time? Totally different, right? Because what works for you may not work for me, right?
Yep.
Or it may work and I just hate it. And, there's enough strategies. You pick the one you like, but be good at it.
Yeah. That's perfectly accurate. You don't want to do things. And if you try to do things that aren't something you enjoy, everybody on social media or in the business will see, and you won't attract anybody.
No, right. And that's the other thing. You're going to attract your tribe, right? You're going to put your culture out there, and people will be attracted to the culture that you have. So I made that mistake early where I was like, well, I want this person to come work with me, so I'm going to deviate slightly.
Yeah. And there's definitely a sequence,
Sure.
to business. And it's taken me, 10 years to decide to have a team.
Right.
To decide if I wanted to, take on someone else's responsibility. And I should have done it a lot earlier. Because it's given me so many more fruits of my labor,
Right.
It's like, hey, you want to do a team event, and then you get double the amount of people, right?
Well, double the people, you get double the hands, double the ideas, double the resource, all of that. And it's just fun to do it with someone as opposed to doing it by yourself.
Yeah,
again, they care.
Real estate is, I mean, there was a sales trainer a long time ago I talked to. He's from Las Vegas. His name was Rick. And he sold 200 houses in Las Vegas. And he told me, he goes, Daniel, the best analogy I can give you is that, and I was talking to him on the phone.
Right.
I called him up. I was like, hey, man, do you still sell real estate? He's like, no, I don't sell real estate anymore. But I was this huge sales trainer and blah, blah, blah. And he told me real estate's like a gold mine. There's just guys who look at the gold mine, the hole, and say, I know there's gold in there, but I'm not going to go in there. Then there's an agent that looks at the gold mine and says, all right, let me go get a flashlight, and goes in about 6 feet and goes, man, there's gold in here, picks a couple pieces of gold out, and then goes back. And then there's guys who literally look at the gold mine, they go back, they get the shovel, they get the wheelbarrow, they get the light, they go all the way in the gold mine, and they come out with a whole wheelbarrow full of gold.
Yeah, all of it.
Yeah, and it's all about just consistency and being genuine in who you are, and genuinely trying to help people at their level.
Right, and that's it. I mean, when we talk about strategies and stuff like that, it's not us being disingenuous. It's literally you really do want to help people, and the byproduct is that money. And you could take your analogy even further with your team thing when you tell this story next time. Then there's the people that go in, see all the gold. Not only do they get the equipment, but they get all their buddies or their team. And then they go back and they get all the gold. See what I did there?
That's right. That's the best place to go.
Yeah. If you want to go fast, go alone. If you want to go long,
That's right. Yeah.
Go with people. Yeah. All those good
I've heard
stories.
that one before. That's
right.
Cool.
Yeah. I didn't make that one up. Let me confess. All right, what's one tip you would give? So maybe you would give to your buyer's agent. What's one tip you'd give to a brand new agent getting started?
Well, just try to find joy in the process. You're growing. In the Bible, it says when you sow seeds, there were seeds that fell on the ground and got stolen by the birds. There are seeds that fell on with weeds and grew up in weeds and choked them out. And then there's seeds that fall on humus soil, humility. Right? Mm-hmm. And those turn 10, 12, 20 times, right? Mm-hmm. And so what it is when you're planting, don't sow and not sow abundantly. You need to sow so many times and don't grow weary in doing good.
Right.
Because every action that you take is going to be rewarded if you persevere.
So what I'm hearing is love the process.
Yeah.
Because you're never going to... You never got it.
Yeah.
You're never going to... It gets easier to balance, but you've never got it. Because the second you got it, you stop learning. right?
Yeah, exactly. And real estate's so cyclical that like you can't judge 1 year. You're not on a 6 or 12 months. You're on a 16-month journey.
Maybe
to
longer
even
than that.
see profit. Like even to see a couple sales, you have to be able to have the wherewithal to do that, you know?
Right. But from a profitability, I'm going more abstract on this thought, but it's this too shall pass, right?
Mm-hmm.
We're in a down market, but literally by the end of next year, I don't think we will be.
No way.
because that goes to game theory. I don't know if you've ever heard of that. So
I haven't.
you have a finite game and you have an infinite game. So a finite game is football, right? Here's
Yeah.
the rules. This is what we agreed to. Great. Well, an infinite game is the only way that you win is when the other guy quits. So you have to continue to be persistent.
Yeah, long enough to have them fall out of the game.
Well, right. When they quit, you won, because otherwise they could still come back. But where I'm taking that theory in real estate is we have to keep our eyes on the grand prize. We got to pay our bills in the meantime, but we can't get bogged down into the day to day. So you take your individual wins. You're going to take, those individual wins, but more importantly, you're going to know that you're improving the process. You're growing who you are, right?
Yeah, exactly. And the person that you start off at is not the person that you're going to be, not even 2 years into the business.
Right, but you can't live to be that guy. You've got to be satisfied where you are, but pissed if you're there tomorrow.
Yeah.
Right? Because we can't stop growing.
Yeah. I mean, you're always learning,
Yeah.
especially in real estate. I mean, I would...
in life, but in real estate in particular.
Yeah. And I would say that real estate is definitely one of the most difficult, like, because it's so ambiguous and there's not like a clear path to success. You have to almost like not forge your own way, but find your own style.
Well, your own. So we all do calls, notes, and pop-bys if you're doing the system, right? But who you call is different than who I call, and what you say when you call is different, right? So there is structure and there is a set path up the hill, but is it a little to the left or a little to the right? Yes, yes, it is.
Sometimes
but we're all going up.
Sometimes it's barefoot in the snow up the hill.
Right, both ways.
Yeah,
just like your mom went to school.
Exactly. You're
That's
like,
funny.
Man, dude, what am I doing, Like, and there's days where I've felt that way.
Well, everyone does. We were just talking about that with Peggy the other day when she was on. She was talking about, now keep in mind, this is a super successful agent, and to this day, she's like, I got days where I'm like, I don't know if I want to do this anymore.
Oh. Sign me up, buddy.
Well, that's what I'm saying. But I say that because we are headed into tough times, and we're coming from tough times, and all of those agents that are maybe a little bit newer to the game know that this is normal. This is I'm sure Brian Buffini has days where he's like, man, I don't know.
Yes, is it profitable anymore?
Right. Or do I still want to do this? Do I need that profit? Do I still want to do this?
Yeah.
So you have to love that process, and you have to know that there are going to be days that are bad and there are going to be days that are amazing. And if you have more amazing days than bad days, then you're in the right place.
Yeah, exactly. I think that for the love of real estate, I think there's too many people that get into real estate thinking it's easy money. Mm-hmm. And they get into it and then they either say this is not for me and they get out, or they try to join someone else. And my advice to those people are just like, when you get in, just know that it's a 16-month like grind until you're going to see some real fruits of your labor. I
like that you put an actual time frame on it.
Yeah. I mean, you're going to have to like really put a lot of hard work in it. And when I first started, I didn't know what I was doing. I was like literally chasing my tail half the day. And a lot of new agents feel like that. But establishing your database is definitely where the gold mine is.
Yeah. And having those relationships, being intentional, being systematic to make sure you touch everybody. That's massive. And then consistency. Be consistent in anything you do. Like,
exactly.
Everything.
Yeah, I mean, there's a level of responsibility that is learned through being consistent and being true to yourself, right? So if you say, you go in the office and you go, hey, man, I got to call 30 people and you only call 5, you have to hold yourself accountable.
Oh, yeah.
otherwise, you're going to fail.
The other thing that I find is if you're doing the entire system, it makes it easier because your reason to call. If you do a pop by, you have to call them to tell them you're coming to their house, right? And then you write them a note, or you don't have to, I suppose.
You sneak attack them.
You just throw it at the door and run.
Yeah, I mean, I've done that before, too. Oh man, now I don't want to talk to this person, but I need to do this.
Yeah, I gotta mark it off my.
I'm scared.
Yeah. And you're only scared because you didn't do it previously. If you've been doing it consistently, there's nothing to be scared of, right? And then why do you write the note? Sorry, I missed you. I really wanted to see you. Hopefully you enjoyed.
Yeah, make sure you go see people that you want to see.
Well, that's who should be in your database anyway.
No, there's too many people out there that that you think that or have your best interest, but they don't.
So sort your database.
Yeah. You need to really vet your database.
Yeah.
And if you only have 50 people in there that really care about you, all you really need is 10. You only need 10 people to give you 10 leads, and you can have a pretty good year. But, having these massive databases and doing things that
you want real relationships. I would argue that I'm going to need more than 10.
What I'm saying,
I know
for someone who's starting.
Oh yeah. No, absolutely. If you're just starting out, no, I totally get what you're saying.
Yeah,
it's better to have 10 real ones than 10 people that you got at the open house that were nice to you and then will never talk to you again.
Oh yeah,
right. It's better to have one solid conversation at an open house. If you're a brand new agent, you should do those. You should be exploring as many opportunities as you can.
Yeah, you got to try everything.
But remember that the people that know, like, and trust you is where you need to spend the majority of your time.
Yeah, the quality of your relationships determines your life.
In full circle, right there.
Yeah,
right.
100%. And I really appreciate a lot of the people that are in my database and my friend group, and it's become. After 10 years, it becomes a little more natural.
Oh yeah,
you get a chance to really impact some people and build really strong friendships, and then those become more fruitful as they bring their friends in and stuff. So
absolutely. And when you go to a client party and they know people there because they brought them or they met them previously, and it's really their party. I have an inner planning party circle of my clients where I'm like, hey, I got this idea, and they're like, oh, yeah, let's do that. And you're like, oh, yeah, it's your party, too. You know what I mean?
Yeah, without the people, there's no party, right?
It really is not. That's called alcoholism.
Exactly.
What processes or systems have you had to install this year to be successful? Because this was a tough year.
Yeah, I mean, I just kept doing the things that I was doing. So I was in Buffini coaching for 5 years prior to, and I just rekindled and got back in. So about 5 years later, and but I was doing 3 or 4 parties a year, and I would do a spring party. We do the baseball event in the summertime, and then we do the pie party, and then I would sprinkle in little things, but. The thing that I like to, I bounce off of other people is you gave me an event idea not too long ago that was super cool, and I haven't implemented it yet, but I'm going to,
Yeah, no, I'm dying to hear how it goes. I mean, but that's what's cool about the system. There's all these other people, and we speak our own separate language, and I don't want to say we're doing the same thing, but we're doing something very similar, and we're very like-minded. So when you meet people at an event, you and I could not talk for 6 months and pick up the phone and instantaneously best friends again.
Exactly. Yeah, it's man, you were in the war with me.
It really, you're in the trenches.
Yeah, blood brothers.
That's it. That's very cool.
You see those bullets whizzing by?
That one was going fast. So what is your favorite quote?
Well, there's a quote that I wrote down over here. It says,
preparation. I like it.
You must teach men at the school of example, for they will learn at no other. It's a Albert Schweitzer. And what that means is you're an example to everyone else in your life. Mm-hmm. So if they see you acting a fool, they're going to act a fool, right?
Show them, don't tell them.
Yeah. You need to really embody the beautiful principles that, you preach about. You got to practice what you preach.
Absolutely. And you will show them who you are way better than you'll tell them who you are. Right?
Yeah.
So if you're doing that goes back to with our clients, right? When your item of value gets mailed every month, they know that you're serious. You're consistent. Even if they don't open it, they still know. They still look at it and go, okay, well, this guy's in business. Like he's legit. He's
And that goes back to your perseverance that you were talking about, is like when and when you mail something or when you like put forth effort and you invite someone to a party and no one shows up, they still know that you invited them.
Yes, absolutely. Actually, the parties, the more important part of your event is the invite, is the contacting them. If no one comes, you just saved a bunch of money on food.
And beer.
Well, no, you still buy that.
That's classic.
What's your biggest takeaway from an event?
Oh, man. Biggest takeaway, I had an event, I just meeting some of the people, that's such a privilege to like be able to reconnect with people that, if you weren't in real estate or you weren't in a business, like that's a blessing to us.
Oh yeah.
Is when you call on somebody that but you don't get to see all the time, and they show up, like that's the biggest.
I would agree with you. I think Brian says some amazing stuff from the stage, and he says some amazing stuff from the podcast. But what makes what we do special is the people. The other agents that you go elbow to elbow, you meet these cool people, and like you said, they're so generous. Like they're giving you, they really want the best for you. And I agree with you fully. Like I think that's.
I mean, just seeing the smiles. Like we had the pie party event and I took, I have a photographer come take pictures and stuff. And I was looking back on some of the pictures. I'm like holding one of my friend's babies, and I'm like, man, you know what? Like I get to spend time with them and get to see this child grow up, and like get to impact their family and help their brother and help their sister buy a house, and like to see that's the most rewarding thing to me, I think.
Yeah, to be a part of their family's mission, right?
Yeah, and it's somebody that like otherwise I wouldn't even.
No, definitely not on that level.
If I was in a different if I was in a different business, I wouldn't even have that relationship.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, absolutely.
So that's what's really cool about it. And, I remember when I was in coaching, I had a lot of friends that all over the country I get to call, and we talk about whatever you're going through. So that's been rewarding.
Yeah, absolutely. I fully agree with you. Well, thank you so much for taking so much time with me and driving all the way down here.
Appreciate that.
I'm definitely looking forward to hanging out a little bit after the show if you've got time.
Yeah, absolutely. Let's do it.
Let's so go ahead and take a minute and tell everybody what market you serve and then what the best way to contact you is.
So I serve the greater Virginia Beach area, so Norfolk, Suffolk, Chesapeake, Virginia Beach, and if you have any we have a huge military establishment there, so we have every base. So if you have anybody coming from, San Diego or Pennsylvania or Florida or any of that stuff, I'm more than happy to take your referrals. And yeah, come on, bring it.
So what social media, phone number, what's the best way?
Daniel Parrish, Daniel_Parrish_ on Instagram, and my phone number is 757-816-6003. And you can call me or text me or DM me or whatever you want to send a smoke signal. I'd be happy to take care of thank you.
Very cool. Thank you so much for doing this.
All right, brother. Thanks.
Your mission, should you choose to accept it, is to apply this information to your business immediately. This message will not self-destruct in 5 seconds. Good luck, agents.